Okay everyone, Andrig with Andrig's Aircooled technology here. This is an installation video on the Evolution 2 fan kit. I'm going to be installing on an OEM fan shroud. It works with all aftermarket fan shrouds as well, but the OEM fan shroud has the least amount of room for the fan in it. So that's why I demonstrated on that. And of course that's why I really designed for that use case, because it's the one that gives the least amount of room. So if I designed for the aftermarket fan shrouds, then it wouldn't work with an OEM fan shroud. So we don't want to do that because the internal structure is a little different inside, and so that's what we do there. So what comes in your kit? Pretty straightforward. You'll have a combination air inlet and backing plate. This example, this one is just standard alternator one with nothing special. There's options for Greenberg linkage as well, and for central mount carb. You'll get the fan, and here's the dual-sided fan that you'll get. And then this is something that's been in the works for a while. I've been wanting to eliminate, the Evolution 1 kit's been coming with this flat washer, and it requires the use of Loctite. Took me a while to find a vendor to do this, but I now have a custom spring or wave washer that is going to come with all the Evolution 2 kits, and the Evolution 1 kits will start coming with this as well. So you know, it's a really heavy duty stainless steel wave washer, so no longer will you need to use Loctite on the nut, which is great. These were a lot more expensive to make than you would think, but it's worth it to me because it makes the process of installation easier for you guys. One less thing you have to do. If you forget Loctite, things comes loose, and you know that's not a good thing. Your fan loose, right? So we have an alternator here. It can work with a generator as well. It can work with any of the aftermarket alternators. There's some like 9, 10, 11, 12 brands of aftermarket alternators out there, as I've discovered. And depending what country you're talking about, you know, there's some real oddball things. But having said that, the design of this I've changed so it doesn't care what the outside diameter of the alternator and or generator is anymore. So that's a good thing. One other thing on some of the aftermarket alternators, the shaft length on the Bosch here is the same as it's always been. The shaft length on some of the aftermarket alternators is upwards of 20 millimeters longer. Not the threaded portion, but below, right, where it's not threaded. And that will cause your fan not to be able to torque it down. It'll actually be loose. You'll be able to like wiggle it up and down. If you have that problem, contact me, and I can send you the flat washer as a spacer. I have plenty of these left over. That will, one or two of these will do the trick and move the fan up a little, you know, move the nut up without moving the placement of the fan, so that you can torque it down properly. So if you run into that, that's what that issue is. It's one of your aftermarket alternators that has that. One or two of the brands have that issue. So don't know really why they did that and what they think they were doing, but that's the way it is. So, but I do have a solution for it, and you'll be good. In fact, even if you don't contact me, if you buy just a standard set of like 20 millimeter washers, it'll work. So if you can find metric washers. So so let's start with the installation. So we've got a bare alternator off, so we took off the original fan and backing plate, and this just goes on just like the regular backing plate does, except just one piece. You don't have 3 pieces. We'll use in my case, I've got just flat washers and Nylock 6 millimeter nuts. If you have the stock OEM pieces, you'll have a wave washer with a regular 6 millimeter nut. And we just put those on, tighten them down. And again, these just should be hand tight. Don't be, you know, trying to torque these things down real hard or anything like that. One, it's unnecessary. Two, depending on how much force you actually, torque these things down to, you could actually split the back of this, right? So remember, it's a strong material, plenty strong enough for the application, no problem, but you can break it. I have seen some interesting things done where someone just really I don't know what they were thinking, but torque that thing down like crazy. And this is the other thing that comes with the kit is the mount. Couple of ways you can do this. You can put the mount on the fan by aligning things, press it into place, and then do it this way. Sometimes that's problematic because as long as your Woodruff key is in there real tight, that's a good way to do it. And then you slide the whole thing on, you're good to go. If your Woodruff key is not real tight, like for whatever reason on these newer, either made in Brazil or Mexico, Bosch alternators, the Woodruff keys are very loose. So they just fall out real easy. So it's actually a little bit easier to take the mount here, hold your Woodruff key in place with your finger, get the mount started on there, slide the mount on there, then take the fan, line it up, press it in place, and you're good. So that's the easiest way to do it on this. You'll notice, there's no need for spacers or anything like that. It'll just fit on there. And then we'll take our custom wave washer, we'll throw it in there. Then we'll take our flanged 12 millimeter nut, stick it on there, thread it. So it's an 18 millimeter socket. I'm using my big 1/2 inch drive stuff, mostly just because I couldn't find my 3/4 inch drive 18 millimeter socket. I don't know where it disappeared to, but we can just hold the fan, cinch it down like so. Kind of hand tight, but you're flattening that wave washer a bit. It's probably not 100% flattened, but it won't be until you torque it completely. But there we have it. So now we have a fully assembled, I can feel that air, fan on the alternator and or generator if that's what you're doing. So next, obviously, here's our fan shroud. We're gonna just drop this into the fan shroud like so. And we'll take our 6 millimeter screws, put them in place loosely, so make sure everything's kind of lined up the way it should be. Give yourself some space. The way I designed these, the way the screws go in place, I'll show you. I'll pick this up in a second. They are virtually exactly the same size as the washers that go on here with the, so we'll just make sure we're lined up good. And that actually helps kind of line things up real good. Once you get all 4 of those in place, we'll just tighten them down. Again, just like you would a regular backing plate. These things don't need to be overdone in terms of how tight they are. Now we've got, and I'll show you kind of what that looks like. All right, so we've got it all in place, and you can kind of see the way the screws fit with the washers. They fit like, just beautifully inside that. It's very precise in terms of the fit of that. So then you got a fan in there, and we can there we go. A little bit of flex in there, so with the weight of the alternator is causing it to rub slightly, but you'll want to support this by the alternator for the most part. so you don't damage anything, but fits in there beautifully. It's all tight. Now, when you get ready, so to put this on your engine, make sure you have your pulley on, and you use the slots in the pulley to torque the nut on the back of the fan. So you get this in place on your engine. With your fan shroud in place, you just strap it all down. Make sure, again, not rubbing. It shouldn't, as long as everything's lined up and it's seated properly in the alternator stand. You won't have any problems because that'll keep the fan straight. Now, obviously, this will flex, right? So, so you want it nice and aligned straight, and then it'll fit beautifully in there. Then you'll want to, have your pulley in front. Hold with the pulley with a screwdriver in the slots to torque the nut on the back, right? Once everything is locked in place on your engine. And we'll torque to 30 foot-pounds, and you should be good. That wave washer now will hold everything together because there's obviously that spring tension of a very thick wave washer back there. It's like a little over 2.5 millimeters thick. So very similar to the custom washer that was on the original mounting stuff of the OEM fan. So that's pretty much it in terms of installation of an Evolution 2 fan kit on any fan shroud, really. If you install on an Evolution fan shroud, let me get an Evolution fan shroud. I have one over here. This is one of my Evolution fan shrouds. You can see right here. And when you install on this, the only thing that's a little different is you can't just lay the fan shroud flat, because the fan actually sticks out the back just a little bit. The only reason the fan doesn't stick out the back of like a OEM doghouse fan or an aftermarket fan shroud is because they have that structure that's that points out. Mine's completely flat on the back, except it has the provisions for a velocity ring. So if you had the velocity ring installed, you could just lay it down flat and it'll sit down flat. So what you have to kind of do is kind of let kind of sit it on an edge of something, or support it with something on each side when you put it down, so you can screw this in place, because the fan's going to stick out the back just a little bit. It's only about like maybe that much. That it sticks out the back. So just something to keep in mind when installing on an Evolution fan shroud. Of course, you'll get much better performance with the Evolution fan shroud too, but that's an aside. So that's it. So we're all set with putting that on the engine and torquing it in place, and you'll be good. And enjoy the product. It's a great product in terms of performance, airflow performance. Almost 29% increase in airflow in an OEM doghouse fan shroud. Much greater performance in an Evolution fan shroud, but you can see my posts on that later. So appreciate it, and enjoy the fan, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.